गुड मॉर्निंग फ्रेंड्स। आप सबों का बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन है इस यूट्यूब चैनल में, जहां पर हम लोग बात करेंगे महत्वपूर्ण प्रश्नों की एक बेहतरीन श्रृंखला। तो बने रहिए इस चैनल में, देखते रहिए, सीखते रहिए और सफलता हासिल करने की पूरी कोशिश कीजिए। चलिए, ऑल द बेस्ट फॉर योर क्वेश्चंस। लेट्स सी। तो दिए गए प्रश्नों पर विचार करना है। पहला प्रश्न आपकी स्क्रीन पर क्वेश्चन नंबर 7 है। कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग पद्मा अवार्ड्स। All the government servants, including those working with PSU, are eligible for these awards. Any citizen of India can nominate a potential recipient, and one can even nominate oneself. The lifetime achievements of an individual is among the main consideration for selecting the awardee. Which of the statement is are correct? I think you got the answer. पहला स्टेटमेंट ही आपको समझ जाना चाहिए था, तो गलत है। देखिए, ऑल पर्सन, डिस्टिंक्शन ऑफ रेस, ऑक्यूपेशन, पोजीशन और सेक्स आर एलिजिबल फॉर दीज अवार्ड्स। हाउएवर, द गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट इंक्लूडिंग दोज वर्किंग विद PSUs एक्सेप्ट डॉक्टर्स एंड साइंटिस्ट आर नॉट एलिजिबल फॉर दिस अवार्ड। तो पद्मा अवार्ड जो है वो पब्लिक सेक्टर इंटरप्राइजेज में काम करने वाले सर्वेंट्स को नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन उसमें डॉक्टर और साइंटिस्ट नहीं आते हैं। अकॉर्डिंग टू द पद्मा अवार्ड सिलेक्शन क्राइटेरिया, द अवार्ड इज गिवन फॉर स्पेशल सर्विसेज एंड नॉट जस्ट फॉर द लॉन्ग सर्विसेज। लंबी अवधि तक काम करने वाले को नहीं, बल्कि स्पेशल सर्विस के लिए दिया जाता है। इट शुड नॉट बी मियरली एक्सीलेंस इन पर्टिकुलर फील्ड, बट द क्राइटेरिया हैज़ टू बी एक्सीलेंस प्लस होना चाहिए। Any citizen of India can nominate a potential recipient. One can even nominate oneself. खुद को आप नॉमिनेट कर सकते हैं, खुद को, स्वयं को आप नॉमिनेट कर सकते हैं। All nomination are to be done online, where a form is to be filled along the details of a person or organization being nominated. An 800 words essay detailing the work done by potential awardee is also to be submitted for the nomination to be considered. The government opens the Padma Award portals for nominations between 1st May and September 15 every year. It also writes to various state government, governors, union territories, central ministers, and various departments to send the nomination. There is also no rigid criteria or trenchant formula for selection according to MHA. However, the lifetime achievements of an individual is among the main consideration. All nominations received for Padma Awards are placed before Padma Awards Committee, which is constituted by the Prime Minister every year. The Padma Awards Committee is headed by the Cabinet Secretary, includes Home Secretary, Secretary to the President, and 4 to 6 eminent persons as the members. The recommendations of the committee are submitted to the Prime Minister and the President of India for approval. Can Padma Awards be refused? क्या आप इसे नहीं लेने से मना कर सकते हैं? लेने से आप मना कर सकते हैं क्या? While explicit consent is not sought from the awardee before the final list is announced, they receive a call from MHA. If they do not seek to receive the award, they can refuse at the time and their names will be removed without any noise. However, historically, there have been for a few instances of more public refusal. लेकिन लोग दिखावटी होते हैं, वो जाके मंच पे लेने से मना कर देते हैं। ये अच्छी बात नहीं है, नहीं लेना तो पहले बोल दीजिए। Consider the following statements. Performer, a perform, achieve and trade PAT scheme as a regulatory instrument to reduce energy consumption in energy intensive industry, and the energy consumption norms are set by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. India is obligated to cut carbon emission under the provisions of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Which are the correct? हम लोग ऑब्लिगेटेड क्यों होंगे ऑब्लिगेटेड? नो, हम लोग ऑब्लिगेटेड नहीं है. ठीक है. सिंस 2015 BEE वही ब्यूरो ऑफ एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी हैज बीन रनिंग the program, the Perform Achieve Trade Scheme, Perform Achieve Trade Scheme under 1078 industries spanning 13 sectors have been getting energy security certificate if they exceeded certain targets. European Union is required to cut emission under the provisions of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. India does not have any obligation. However, we have committed to reducing the emission intensity of our GDP by 45% by 2030. Consider the following statement regarding Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. ट्राई के बारे में पूछा जा रहा है. Telecom Regulatory Authority of India (TRAI) was established through an act of Parliament. TRAI regulate telecom service including fixation, revision of tariffs for telecom service which were earlier vested in the central government. Telecom, a Telecommunication Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal (TDSAT) was established at the same time along with the TRAI to hear and dispose the appeals against any direction or order of the TRAI. Which are the correct? I think it's absolutely both are correct. So C 1 and 2. So, Telecom Regulatory Authority (TRAI) was established with the effect of February 1997. 20 फरवरी 1997 को ट्राई की स्थापना की जाती है पार्लियामेंट के एक्ट के द्वारा, जिसका नाम रखा जाता है टेलीकॉम रेगुलेटरी अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1997 टू रेगुलेट टेलीकॉम सर्विसेज इंक्लूडिंग फिक्सेशन, revision of tariffs for telecom services which were earlier vested in the central government. TRAI's mission is to create and nurture conditions for growth of the telecommunication of in a country. Telecommunication in the country in manner and at the pace which will enable India to play a leading role in emerging global information. TRAI's mission is to create and nurture conditions for growth of telecommunication in countries in a manner at a pace which will enable India to play a leading role in emerging global information society. One of the main objectives of TRAI is to provide a fair and transparent policy environment which promotes a level playing field and facilities for fair competition. TRAI Act was amended by ordinance effective from 24 January 2000, establishing Telecommunication Dispute Settlement and Appellate Tribunal (TDSAT) to take over the adjudicatory and dispute function from TRAI. TDSAT was set up to adjudicate any dispute between a licensor or licensee, between two or more service provider, between a service provider and a group of customer, and to hear and dispose of appeals against any direction decision of TRAI. Next question from Science and Technology. Consider the following statements. After human body is exposed to virus for the first time, it produces memory B cell that circulate in the bloodstreams and quickly produce antibodies whenever the same strain of the virus infect against. Immune imprinting is a tendency of a body to repeat its immune response based on the first variant it encountered. when the body comes across a newer, slightly different variant. Which of the above? Both are correct. Since last September, countries like UK and US have rolled out variant-specific or bivalent booster in this hope that they would provide better protection against coronavirus infection in comparison to the original vaccine. However, a slew of recent studies has shown that phenomenon in our bodies called immune imprinting might be making the new booster for far less effective than expected. What is immune imprinting? Immune imprinting is a tendency of our body to repeat its immune response based on the first variant it encountered through the infection or vaccination when it comes across a newer or slightly different variant of the same pathogen. The phenomenon was first discovered in 1947 when the scientists noted that people who had previously had flu and were then vaccinated against the current circulating strain produced antibodies against the first strain they had encountered. According to a report published in the journal Nature, at the time it was termed the original antigenic scene, but today it's commonly known as imprinting. Over the years, scientists have realized that imprinting acts as a database for the immune system, helping it put up a better response to repeat infection. After our body is exposed to a virus for the first time, it produces memory B cells that circulate in our bloodstream and quickly produce antibodies whenever the same strain of the virus infects again. The problem occurs when a similar, not identical variant of the virus is encountered by the body. In such cases, the immune system, rather than generating a new B cells, activate memory B cells, which is in turn produce antibodies that the bind to feature found in both the old and new strain, known as cross-reactive antibodies. And Nature report said, although these cross-reactive antibodies do offer some protection against new strain, they are not as effective as ones produced by B cells when the body first come across the original virus. Consider the following statement regarding Artemis mission. Artemis mission या Artemis program is a robotic and human moon exploration program led by the European Space Agency. आर्टेमिस तो यूरोपियन स्पेस एजेंसी का प्रोग्राम तो नहीं है. आई थिंक लेट्स सी देखते हैं. आर्टेमिस प्रोग्राम इज intends to re-stabilize a human presence on the moon for the first time since the Apollo 17 mission. Artemis program is a collaboration of the government space agency and the private spaceflight companies bound together by the Artemis Accord. No, no, no. It's a correct only C 2 and 3. आर्टेमिस तो ये है भैया नासा का. आर्टेमिस प्रोग्राम इज अ रोबोटिक एंड ह्यूमन मून एक्सप्लोरेशन प्रोग्राम लीड बाय यूनाइटेड स्टेट National Aeronautics and Space Administration, that means NASA, along with the three partner agency ESA, JAXA, मतलब यूरोपियन स्पेस एजेंसी, जापान एरोस्पेस एक्सप्लोरेशन एजेंसी, कैनेडियन स्पेस एजेंसी. The Artemis program too intends to re-stabilize a human presence on the moon for the first time since the Apollo mission in 1972. Program's long-term goal is to establish a permanent base camp on the moon and facilitate human mission to Mars. Artemis program is a collaboration of the government, space agency, and private spaceflight companies bound together by the Artemis Accords and supporting contracts. H-phaxiation is a condition that occurs. H-phaxiation when human body is deprived of oxygen, इसको H phaxiation कहते हैं. H phaxiation, X phaxiation या suffocation is a simple word, occurs when the body is deprived of oxygen. दम घुटने लगता है, ऐसा लगता है. तो एस्फेक्सिया का ये एस्फेक्सिया कैन रिजल्ट फ्रॉम ड्रोनिंग, या फिर आप डूब रहे हैं तब हो सकता है, अस्थमा के कारण, चॉकिंग के कारण, या फिर स्ट्रेंगुलेशन के कारण, या फिर सीजर, ड्रग ओवरडोज, इनहेलिंग केमिकल सब्सटेंस। एस्फेक्सिएशन कैन लीड टू द लॉस ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस, ब्रेन इंजरी एंड डेथ भी हो सकता है। कंसिडर द फ्लोइंग स्टेटमेंट रिगार्डिंग नोरावायरस। नोरोवायरस Norovirus is one of the primary cause of gastroenteritis. Norovirus is one of the primary cause of gastroenteritis. The virus is not capable of surviving low temperature, and hence outbreaks tend to be more common during summer. Infection can be transmitted through the foods contaminated with the virus. I think you know about that. Absolutely 2 is incorrect होना चाहिए, तो 1 और 3 सही है। नोरा वायरस इज न्यू, नॉट न्यू, ये कोई नया नहीं है। इट हैज़ बीन सर्कुलेटिंग अमंग द ह्यूमंस फॉर योर 50 ईयर्स एगो, 50 साल से तो घूम रहा है। एंड थॉट टू बी वन ऑफ द प्राइमरी कॉज फॉर इंटरइटीज गैस्ट्रोइंटरिटीज। द वायरस इज एस्टिमेटेड टू किल 2 लाख पर्सन ग्लोबली एवरी ईयर। अरे बाप रे, हर साल 2 लाख लोगों को खा लेता है ये। द मोस्ट डेथ अकरिंग अमंग द दोज बिलो द एज ऑफ 5 ईयर्स, जो 5 साल से कम होते हैं, एंड दोज ओवर द एज ऑफ 65 ईयर्स। वायरस इज केपेबल ऑफ सर्वाइविंग लो टेम्परेचर। लो टेम्परेचर में भी केपेबल है बताइए। आउटब्रेक्स टेंड टू बी मोर कॉमन ड्यूरिंग द विंटर सीजन and in the colder countries. That is why it's sometimes referred as a winter vomiting disease. It's a winter vomiting disease भी बोलते हैं इसको, नोरा वायरस के कारण जो बीमारी होता है। केस ऑफ नोरा वायरस आर नॉट एज कॉमन इन इंडिया एज इन मेनी अदर प्लेसेस। भारत में तो उतना केस नहीं दिखा गया है। नोरा वायरस लीड्स टू डायरिया, वोमिटिंग, नोसिया, abdominal pain. Being a diarrheal disease, it can lead to dehydration. So, drinking plenty of fluids is recommended. The infection can be transmitted through the foods contaminated with the virus, touching surfaces that are contaminated with the virus, and then touching the mouth, being in direct contact with someone with the infection, like taking care of them or sharing food utensil with them. Good hand hygiene is the best way to prevent infection. Norovirus can survive temperature as high as 60 डिग्री सेल्सियस में भी जी सकता है बताइए। तो अगला क्वेश्चन है, ए सीनोटो वैक्टर, ए सीनेटो वैक्टर बाउमनानी और इंट्रोकोकस फैसली, स्चेरिया कोली आर, क्या है ये सब? ये सब पैथोजन्स है that have ability to develop resistance to antibiotic. अभी अभी बहुत चर्चा में चल रहा है ना, AMR, antimicrobial resistance. You know the problem of antimicrobial resistance. That's why you have to remember about Acinetobacter baumannii, Enterococcus और Escherichia coli. ये सब पैथोजन्स हैं जो इतनी ताकतवर हो चुके हैं ना कि इन पर एंटीबायोटिक का कोई असर ही नहीं हो रहा है। Some of the pathogens to look out for: Acinetobacter baumannii, Enterococcus faecalis, Escherichia coli, Salmonella typhi, Streptococcus pneumoniae, and many more. All these pathogens are commonly implicated as a causative agent of the healthcare-associated infections because of their ability to develop resistance to antibiotics. A biomarker is generally used as an indicator of course biodiversity and ecosystem, disease in organism, but क्या हो रहा है इसमें? सी होगा भाई, disease in organism biomarker, disease in organism. Biomarker may also be used to see how well the body responds to a treatment for a disease or a condition. Also called molecular marker and signature molecule. It can also be a substance whose detection indicates a particular disease state. For example, the presence of an antibody may indicate an infection. More specifically, a biomarker indicates A change in expression या state of protein that correlate with the risk or progression of disease or with the susceptibility of the disease to a given treatment. Consider the following statement regarding lymphatic filariasis (LF). Lymphatic filariasis या filariasis, commonly known as elephantiasis, is a neglected tropical disease. It does not spread to the humans through the bite of mosquito. Infection is usually acquired in childhood, causing hidden damage to the lymphatic system, and the visible manifestation of this disease occur later in life. In India, antimalarial drugs are administered door to door through a nationwide mass drug administration (MDA) campaign. चार सही है, तीन भी सही है, बट आपको पता होना चाहिए दूसरा स्टेटमेंट बकवास लग रहा है, इसलिए छाट दीजिए उसको। एक तीन चार। Recently, the government launched a nationwide mass drug administration campaign aimed at ending disease transmission through the door-to-door administration of anti-filarial drug। अब घर में देखते होंगे आता है कुछ लोग बांटने हाथी पाँव की दवाई का, हाथी पाँव ना इफेक्ट हो जाए, स्पेशली इन द 10 फिलारिया अफेक्टेड स्टेट्स। ऑल दोज above 2 years of age, जो 2 साल से ज़्यादा है, except pregnant women, an aging person या ailing person will be administered the anti-filarial drug। 2 साल से ऊपर का और प्रेग्नेंट महिला को छोड़कर और जो बीमार है उसको छोड़कर सबको ये दवाई दिया जा रहा है, एंटी फिलारियल ड्रग्स। Lymphatic filariasis, commonly known as elephantiasis, is a neglected tropical disease. Infection occur when filarial parasites are transmitted to humans through the Culex mosquito. Infection is usually acquired in childhood, causing hidden damage to the lymphatic system. The painful and disfiguring visible manifestation of this disease, lymphoedema, elephantiasis, and scrotal swelling occur later in life, can lead to the permanent disability. Consider the following statement regarding euthanasia. Euthanasia refers to the practice of an individual deliberately ending their life, oftentimes to get relief from intolerable pain and suffering. Active euthanasia refers to withdrawing life support or treatment that is essential to keep a terminally ill person alive. In India, both the law and the Supreme Court order ban the practice of euthanasia, which are the correct? सुप्रीम कोर्ट या लॉ ने तो एक्टिव तो नहीं लेकिन पैसिव यूथनेसिया का तो अलाउड दे ही दिया है, तो एक बात हो रहा है एक्टिव यूथनेसिया की, तो स्वाभाविक है दो इज करेक्ट नहीं है, यहाँ पर एक ही सही है, क्योंकि यूथनेसिया रेफर्स टू द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल डेलिबरेटली इंडिंग देयर लाइफ, जानबूझकर अपने जीवन को समाप्त करना होता है यूथनेसिया का मतलब। समटाइम्स टू गेट रिलीफ फ्रॉम इनक्योरेबल कंडीशन, इंटॉलरेबल पेन, सफरिंग, बहुत ही खतरनाक बीमारी हो गया हो जिससे आप मतलब संभल ही नहीं पाएंगे आप, तो बहुत ही असहनीय दर्द हो। यूथनेसिया विच कैन बी एडमिनिस्टर्ड ओनली बाय अ फिजिशियन, कैन बी इधर एक्टिव और पैसिव भी हो सकता है। देखिए, एक्टिव यूथनेसिया इन्वॉल्व्स एन एक्टिव इंटरवेंशन to end a person's life with substance or the external forces such as administering a lethal injection। दे दीजिए। Passive euthanasia refers to withdrawing life support or treatment that is essential to keep a terminally ill person। पैसिव यूथनेसिया में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, विड्रोल कर लेते हैं, खींच लेते हैं, धीरे धीरे करके लाइफ सपोर्ट को हटा देते हैं और धीरे धीरे करके शांतिपूर्वक वो मर जाता है। पैथिव इस जो यूथनेसिया है वो लीगलाइज कर दिया गया है इंडिया में सुप्रीम कोर्ट के द्वारा 2018 में। आपने सुना होगा केस अरुणा शानबाग। तो contingent upon the person having a living will or a written document that specifies what action should be taken if a person is unable to make their own medic, medical decision in the future. In this case, a person does not have a living will. Members of the family can make a plea before the High Court to seek permission for passive euthanasia. सुपरबर्ग, ये सुपरबग्स क्या होते हैं? Can develop with the abuse of एंटीपायरेटिक्स, एंटीबायोटिक्स, एंटीवायरल, एंटीफंगल, सब एंटी लगा दो भैया, सब के सब सुपर बक्स है। एंटीमाइक्रोबियल रेसिस्टेंस अकर when microorganisms such as bacteria, virus, fungi, parasites change in ways that render medication used to cure the infection they cause ineffective हो जाता है। ये सब दवाइयाँ काम ही नहीं करती हैं। When the microorganism become resistant to most antimicrobial, they are often referred as a superbug, और तब वो कहलाते हैं superbug. Antimicrobial resistance is broader term for resistance in different types of microorganism, and it encompasses resistance to antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral, antipyretics, antifungal ड्रग्स के प्रति कुछ जवाब नहीं देते हैं। Consider the following statement regarding anamorphic projection technology. Anamorphic projection creates an illusion of reality. It involves projecting on a large surface a distorted image with the use of optical device such as mirror or lenses. Which are the correct? So I think you know C is the right answer. Anamorphic projection essentially involves projecting on a large surface distorted image, which is use of optical transformation devices such as mirror lenses, gives the illusion of reality, आपको भ्रम पैदा कर देंगे। मतलब इस प्रकार का मतलब दुनिया बनाने की कोशिश की जाती है इस माध्यम से। Consider the following statement regarding lab grown diamonds, LGDs. Lab grown diamonds are produced using specific technology using which mimics the geological process that grow natural diamonds. LGD and late grown diamond are chemically, physically, optically diamond, and thus it is difficult to differentiate between lab growing diamond and earth mined diamond. They can be produced only through the extreme low temperature and low pressure method. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। एक और दो सही है। Lab grown diamonds are diamonds that are produced using a specific technology which mimics the geological process that grow natural diamonds. मतलब जिस तरह से नेचुरल गवर्नमेंट डायमंड उत्पन्न होता है ना, उसी को बस आपको नकल करना है। दे आर नॉट द सेम एज डायमंड, दे आर नॉट द सेम एज डायमंड simultaneous. LGD are the chemically, physically, optically diamond and thus are the difficult to identify as a lab grown. पता नहीं चलेगा ये lab grown है कि natural grown है. While materials such as moissanite, cubic zirconia, white sapphire, YAG, etc. are the diamond simulants that simply attempts to look like a diamond. They lack the sparkle, durability of a diamond and are thus easily identifiable. तो इसका मतलब ये जो डायमंड सिमुलेंट्स हैं, डायमंड जैसा दिखने वाले या डायमंड की तरह हो दिखने होता है, वो पकड़ा जाएगा, लेकिन लैब ग्रोन डायमंड नहीं पकड़ाएगा, क्योंकि डिफरेंशिएटिंग बिटवीन द LGD एंड द अर्थ डायमंड इज हार्ड विथ एडवांस इक्विपमेंट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द पर्पस। इसके लिए बहुत ही भयानक इक्विपमेंट चाहिए। There are multiple ways in which LGD can be produced. The most common जो सबसे सस्ता होगा वो होगा हाई प्रेशर हाई टेम्परेचर, जिसको HPHT मेथड बोलते हैं. As the name suggests, that this method requires extremely heavy pressure that can be produced up to, बस समझ लीजिए हाई प्रेशर हाई टेम्परेचर रिक्वायर्ड पड़ेगा और कुछ ज़्यादा उतना नहीं पड़ना है आपको. यूजली ग्रेफाइट इज यूज एज द डायमंड सीड. डायमंड ग्रेफाइट इस्तेमाल करेंगे पहले. वैन सब्जेक्टेड, जब ग्रेफाइट को हाई एक्सट्रीमली कंडीशन में, जो हाई प्रेशर हाई टेम्परेचर दिया जाएगा ना, तो रिलेटिवली इनएक्सपेंसिव फॉर्म द कार्बन टर्न्स इनटू वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव कार्बन फॉर्म्स. अदर प्रोसेस इंक्लूड जैसे केमिकल वेपर डिपोजिशन भी है, एंड एक्सप्लोसिव फॉर्मेशन दैट क्रिएट्स what are known as detonation nano diamonds. Consider the following statement. Anthrax is an infectious disease caused by Bacillus anthracis. The disease causes microbe for anthrax naturally in the soil. Anthrax does not affect domestic or wild animals. Anthrax तो पशुओं में ही होता है यार, क्या आप बोलते हो. एक और दो सही है. Anthrax is a serious infected disease caused by germ या ग्राम पॉजिटिव रॉड शेप बैक्टीरिया जिसका नाम है Bacillus anthracis. Bacillus anthracis. It occurs naturally in soil and commonly affected domestic and wild animals around the world. People can get sick with anthrax if they come in contact with infected animals or contaminated animal products. Anthrax can cause severe illness in both humans and animals. Wolster Wolf's wool sorter's disease was also once known as rat picker's disease. Wool sorter को rat picker's disease भी कहते हैं. It's most common in the form of humans in the cutaneous infection via the injured skin or the mucous membranes of agricultural or industrial worker associated with the infected animals or animal products. Sorter jobs is risky. Anthrax is a fatal blood disease. जानलेवा बीमारी है भैया, blood disease है. Anthrax does not spread directly from one infected animal or person to another. It is spread by spores. These spores can be transmitted by clothing or shoes. Consider the following statement regarding NISAR satellite. It is an Earth observation satellite wholly developed by Indian Space Research Organization. No. It consists both L-band, S-band synthetic aperture radar instrument which make its dual frequency imaging radar satellite. It is capable of penetrating clouds and collect data day and night regardless of the weather condition. Absolutely two is correct. लेकिन फर्स्ट इज इनकरेक्ट होना चाहिए. यस, ये जॉइंटली डेवलप किया गया है नासा और इसरो की मदद से. निसार बनाया गया है, ठीक है, जिसका नाम है अर्थ ऑब्जर्वेशन सैटेलाइट कोल्ड निसार. नासा इसरो सिंथेटिक अपार्चर रडार. Nisar has been built by Space Agency of US and India under a partnership agreement जो कि 2014 में सिग्नेचर किया गया था. 2800 किलोमीटर सैटेलाइट कंसिस्ट ऑफ बोथ एल बैंड एस बैंड सिंथेटिक अपर्चर रडार इंस्ट्रूमेंट which makes it a dual frequency imaging radar satellite. Once launched into the space, NISAR will observe subtle changes in the Earth's surface, helping researchers better understanding the cause and the consequences of phenomenon. It will also spot warning signal of natural disasters such as volcanic eruption, earthquake, landslide. Satellite will also measure groundwater levels, track flow rates of glaciers and ice sheets, monitor the planet's forest and agriculture region, which can improve our understanding of carbon exchange. ISRO will use NISAR for a variety of purposes, including agriculture mapping, monitoring of glacier in Himalaya, landslide prone areas, change in coastal line. By using synthetic aperture radar, NISAR will produce high resolution image. NISAR is capable of penetrating clouds and can collect data day and night regardless of the weather condition. The term drug or a statutory provisions means preparation applied on human body for the purpose of repelling insect like mosquito. Substances used for the destruction of vermin or insect which cause disease in human being or animals. What does it mean drug? Substance intended to affect the structure or any function of the human body. करेक्ट चुनना है. ड्रग्स का स्टैट्यूटरी प्रोविजंस क्या मतलब है? ड्रग्स का मतलब एग्जैक्टली मीनिंग क्या होता है? ये सारे स्टेटमेंट सही है. देखिए ड्रग्स एंड कॉस्मेटिक्स 1940 उसमें ड्रग्स को प्रभाषित किया गया है. क्या क्या ड्रग्स के अंदर आता है? ऑल मेडिसिन फॉर इंटरनल हो या एक्सटर्नल यूज ऑफ ह्यूमन बींग्स और या फिर एनिमल्स एंड ऑल सब्सटेंसेस इंटेंडेड टू बी यूज फॉर या फिर इन ए डायग्नोसिस treatment, mitigation, prevention of any disease or disorder in human beings or animals, including preparation applied on human body for the purpose of repelling insects like mosquito. Any substances other than the food intended to affect the structure or any function of the human body or intended to be used for destruction of the vermin, I mean insect, which are cause disease in human being or animals as may be specified from time to time by the central government by notification in the official gazette. अब हम बात करेंगे इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की. यूनाइटेड नेशन ग्लोबल कॉम्पैक्ट इज एसोसिएटेड विथ ग्लोबल कॉम्पैक्ट. तो ये डेफिनेटली इंकरेज बिजनेसेस टू अडॉप्ट द सस्टेनेबल एंड सोशली रेस्पॉन्सिबल पॉलिसी. वही है यूनाइटेड नेशन ग्लोबल कॉम्पैक्ट. यूनाइटेड नेशन ग्लोबल कॉम्पैक्ट is a non-binding United Nations pact to encourage businesses and the firms worldwide to adopt the sustainable and socially responsible policy and to report on their implementation. United Nations Global Compact is a principle-based framework for businesses, stating 10 principles in the areas of human rights, labor, environment, anti-corruption. Under the Global Compact, companies are brought together with under agencies, labor groups, and civil society. Which of the following country provides assistance to other countries for socio-economic development projects under high impact community development project HICDP scheme? So it's India. In a bid to strengthen ties, India and Maldives signed pacts on development projects. The pact include grant assistance of 100 million rupiah, not rupiah, it's a rupiah, for a high impact community development project scheme. ग्रांट है भैया ये. A number of socio-economic development projects are planned to be implemented throughout the country under this funding. 100 मिलियन रुपया देके आप नंबर ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट चलाइएगा खाली एकदम. IT U2 ग्रुप तो यूएस है, नॉट इराक. इसमें इंडिया भी नहीं है. इसमें है रे इंडिया पागल. इंडिया एंड यूएई, यूएस इंडिया एंड यूएई, नॉट इराक. तो B134 I2U2 group, a grouping of India, Israel, United Arab Emirates, and United States. The group joint statement state that the countries aim to cooperate on joint investment and new initiative in water, energy, transportation, space, health, and food security. Which of the following statement is correct regarding Balfour डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ 1926 1926 का बाल्फोर डिक्लेरेशन चर्चा में है। क्यों? पैलेस्टाइन मूवमेंट, डोमिनेशन, dominion were defined as an autonomous community within the British Empire। देखिए बाल्फोर डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ 1926 dominions were defined as autonomous communities within the British Empire, equal in status, in no way subordinate one to another in any aspect of their domestic or external affair. Though united by a common allegiance to the Crown and freely associated as the members of the British Commonwealth of Nations. In 1926, countries like Canada, Australia, New Zealand were granted Dominion status. Consider the following statement regarding International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice act as an appeal court for any international tribunal. International Court of Justice can suo moto डील विथ एनी इंटरनेशनल डिस्प्यूट। सुओ मोटो तो नहीं ले सकता है, ले सकता है कॉस यूनाइटेड नेशंस चार्टर अथॉराइज द यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल टू इन्फोर्स आईसीजे रूलिंग। चलिए ओनली इंटरनेशनल ट्राइब्यूनल है, एक और दो सही है। देखिए सबसे पहली बात, इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस इज नॉट अ सुप्रीम कोर्ट टू विच नेशनल कोर्ट कैन रन a term. It is not a supreme court. ठीक है? It does not act as a court of last resort for individual, nor it is an appeal court for any international tribunal. It can, however, rule on the validity of the arbitral awards. Court can only hear a dispute when requested to do so. This means by one or more state. It cannot deal with the dispute on its own initiative. Neither it is permitted, neither it is permitted under its statute to investigate and rule on the acts of the sovereign state as it chooses. Judgments are final without appeal. If there is a dispute about the meaning and scope of the judgment, the only possibility is for one of the parties to make a request to the court for the interpretation. In the event of the discovery of the fact hitherto known as the court, which might be deceived factor, either party may apply for revision of the judgment. United Nations Charter authorizes the UN Security Council to enforce court ruling. However, such enforcement is subject to the veto power of the five permanent members of the council। तो यहाँ ध्यान रहे क्वेश्चन में पूछा गया था इनकरेक्ट, तो इनकरेक्ट है एक और दो। इसको सो मोटो लेने का ऑर्डर नहीं आ रहा, ये कोई सुप्रीम न्यायालय नहीं है। ठीक है, पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्वेस्टमेंट, रिसेंटली न्यूज़, ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इन्वेस्टमेंट PGII, तो ये G7 कंट्रीज़ का, G7 countries have officially launched the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment in the Leaders Summit in Germany। G7 countries are कौन कौन है? यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स है, यूनाइटेड किंगडम है, कनाडा है, इटली है, फ्रांस है, जर्मनी है, जापान है। द पार्टनरशिप फॉर ग्लोबल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड इन्वेस्टमेंट is a joint initiative to fund infrastructure projects in developing countries। The PGII was first announced in G7 summit in the UK 2020-21। Back then, the US President Joe Biden had called it the Build Back Better World framework। Collectively, the PGII aims to mobilize nearly $600 billion from G7 by 2027 to invest in a critical infrastructure that improves lives and delivers the real gains for the all of our people। The project is being seen as the G Block's counter to China's Belt and Road Initiative. तो पीजीआई का अनाउंसमेंट पहली बार कब किया गया था? 2021 में यूके के जी समिट में। ठीक है। अब क्वेश्चन होगा पॉलिटी से, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज द competent authority to change the name of any state? Simple question है यार। Parliament under Article 3 can increase or diminish the area of any state, alter the boundaries, change the name of any state. Which of the following cases of the Supreme Court India are related to surveillance? कौन कौन सा केस जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो उठा है जो सर्विलांस से जुड़ा? पीएस एस पुट्टा स्वामी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया वर्डिक्ट 2017, पीपुल्स यूनियन फॉर सिविल लिबर्टीज पीयूसीएल वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया। ये तो डेफिनेटली आपको किससे पता चला हुआ? ये जो केस है ये बॉन्ड से जुड़ा हुआ। कौन बॉन्ड पता ना? इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड। इंदिरा साहनी एंड अदर्स। इंदिरा साहनी का कोई सर्विलांस से मतलब नहीं है। एक और दो सही है। जजमेंट रिलेटेड टू सर्विलांस, पीपुल्स यूनियन फॉर सिविल लिबर्टीज वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया केस, सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट telephonic conversation are covered by the right to privacy, which can be breached only if there are established procedure. हम लोग जो फ़ोन पे बात करते हैं ऐसा नहीं कि कोई फ़ोन उसको टैप कर ले तो ये हमारे राइट टू प्राइवेसी का बीच होगा, लेकिन अगर कानून बना के ऐसा किया जाए तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। एस पुट्टास्वामी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया वर्डिक्ट ऑफ 2017, सुप्रीम कोर्ट reiterated the need for oversight of surveillance, stating that it should be legally valid and serve a legitimate aim of the government. Indira Sani and others versus Union of India and others, the Constitution recognized the social and educational backwardness, but not economic backwardness. The court upheld separate reservation for OBC in the central government job, but excluded these to the creamy layer, the forward section of a backward class above the certain income. जजमेंट ऑफ केदारनाथ वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ बिहार, ये तो सीधा सीधा सिटीजन से जुड़ा हुआ है। समटाइम इन न्यूज रिलेटेड टू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिटी ऑफ द सेक्शन 124 ऑफ द आईपीसी, केदारनाथ रूलिंग ऑन सिटीजन, केदारनाथ सिंह वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ बिहार, 5 जजों का बेंच ओवर रूल दैट अर्लियर रूलिंग ऑफ द हाई कोर्ट एंड अफेल्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल validity of the IPC section 124A. However, the court attempted to restrict its scope for misuse. The court held that unless accompanied by an incitement or call for violence, criticism of the government cannot be labeled sedition. Criticism of the government cannot be labeled as a sedition. The ruling restricted sedition only insofar as seditious speech tended to incite public disorder, a phrase section 124A itself does not contain but was read into it by the court. Consider the following statement regarding Cabinet Committee. Cabinet Committee are mentioned in the Constitution of India. They facilitate in-depth examination of the policy issue and effective coordination. The Cabinet can review their decision. Yeah, of course, why not so? दो तीन एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट है और एक ऐसा कोई जिक्र नहीं है क्योंकि ये कैबिनेट कमेटी आर एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल इन इमरजेंस। इन अदर वर्ड्स दे आर नॉट मेंशन्ड इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन। हाउएवर रूल्स ऑफ बिजनेस प्रोवाइड फॉर देयर एस्टेब्लिशमेंट। रूल्स ऑफ बिजनेस इसके एस्टेब्लिशमेंट की बात करता है। दे आर एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल डिवाइस टू रिड्यूस द इनॉर्मस वर्कलोड ऑफ द कैबिनेट। इसलिए इसकी स्थापना की गई ताकि कैबिनेट पर जो कार्य का दबाव है उसको कम किया सके। दे ऑल्सो फैसिलिटेट इन डेप्थ एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ पॉलिसी इशूज एंड इफेक्टिव कोऑर्डिनेशन। दे नॉट ओनली सॉट issue and formulate proposal for the consideration of the cabinet, but also take decision. However, cabinet can review their decision. Consider the following statement regarding contempt of court. The Contempt of Court Act 1971 states that fair criticism of any cases which has been heard and decided is not contempt. Civil contempt means willful disobedience of any judgment and the publication of any matter which lowers the authority of a court. Criminal contempt means doing an act that obstructs the administration of justice. Of course, all are correct. But 1 and 3 is correct, not 2, because वो भी criminal ही आ गया. Contempt of court may be civil or civil contempt means willful disobedience of any judgment, order, rite, or other process of a court or willful breach of undertaking given a court. Criminal contempt में publication आता है. Criminal contempt means the publication of any matter or doing an act, scandalize, lower the authority of the court, prejudice, interfere with the due course of a judicial proceeding, interfere या obstructs the administration of justice in any other manner. Contempt of Court Act 1971 very clearly states that fair criticism of any case which has been heard and decided is not a contempt. Consider the following statement. The Bar Council of India is a statutory body that regulates the legal practice and legal education in India. In India, the law empowers the Bar Council of India to make rules with respect to standard of professional conduct and etiquette to observe by the advocates. In India, the law allows the lawyers and legal practitioners to advertise their work. एक और दो सही है. देखिए, इन इंडिया लॉयर्स एंड लीगल प्रैक्टिशनर आर अलाउड नॉट अलाउड इट टू एडवर्टाइज देयर वर्क. लॉयर्स और प्रैक्टिशनर अपने काम का प्रचार प्रसार नहीं कर सकते हैं. कैन नॉट एडवर्टाइज देयर वर्क. सेक्शन 49(1) सब क्लोज सी एडवोकेट्स एक्ट है 1961 का. एम्पावर द बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया. तो एडवोकेट्स एक्ट 1961 बनाया गया है. empowers the Bar Council of India (BCI) to make rules with respect to standard of professional conduct, etiquette to be observed by the advocates. इसी तरह से रूल चैप्टर बहुत सारे चैप्टर्स हैं, छोड़िए ना, उतना आपको नहीं जानना, बस आप समझिए ना कि BCI बार काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया रूल्स पब्लिश इन 1975 prohibits lawyer from advertising their work. दूसरा बात है कि requires that advocate's signboard or nameplate should be a reasonable size. The signboard या nameplate or stationery should not indicate that he is or he has been president or member of bar council or any association or that has been associated with any person या फिर organization or with any particular cause or matter, or that he is specialized in any particular type of work, that has been a judge or an advocate general. Bar Council of India is a statutory body. It's a statutory body and that regulates the legal practice and legal education in India. Lawyers can legally advertise their service in United States and United Kingdom, Australia and European Union. लेकिन यही हाल अगर अमेरिका की, ब्रिटेन की, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की, यूरोपियन यूनियन की देखें तो वो अपना अपना प्रचार प्रसार कर सकते हैं, एडवर्टाइज कर सकते हैं. हमारे यहाँ नहीं कर सकता लॉयर्स. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट. स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर कैन मेक लॉ प्रिस्क्राइबिंग अ रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ रेसिडेंस फॉर अ जॉब इन अ पर्टिकुलर स्टेट. Reservation for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and other backward classes is referred to the vertical reservation. Horizontal reservation refers to the opportunity provided to the beneficiaries such as women, transgender community, domicile and individuals with disabilities cutting through the vertical categories. 3 और 2 सही है. तो पहला 16 आर्टिकल पढ़ते हैं हम लोग. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का 16 आर्टिकल नंबर 16 विच गारंटीज इक्वल ट्रीटमेंट अंडर लॉ in matters of public employment, prohibits the state from discriminating on the grounds of place of birth और resident के आधार पर आप विभेद नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आर्टिकल 16 सब क्लोज 2 states that no citizen shall on grounds only if religion, race, caste, sex, a descent, place of birth, resident, or any of them be ineligible for or discriminated against in respect or any employment or office under the state. The provisions is supplemented by the other clause in the Constitution guaranteed equality. However, Article 16 subclause 3 of the Constitution provide an exception by saying that Parliament may make a law prescribing a requirement of residents for jobs in a particular state. This power rests solely in the Parliament, not the state legislature. Reservation for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes is referred to as a vertical reservation. Horizontal reservation refers to the opportunity provided to the other categories of the beneficiaries, such as women, veterans, transgender community, domicile, and the individual with disabilities, cutting through the vertical categories. Consider the following statements. The Constitution of India grants the Supreme Court the power to review its own judgment and orders. The review petition must be filed within the 30 days of the pronouncement of the judgment. The review petition is allowed on a narrow grounds to correct grave error that have resulted in a miscarriage of justice. The Constitution of India specifies that the review petition must be heard in open court. ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है. चलिए 1 2 3 रूलिंग बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट इज फाइनल एंड बाइंडिंग. सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन तो फाइनल और बाइंडिंग होता है, लेकिन आर्टिकल 137 ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन गारंट्स द सुप्रीम कोर्ट द पावर टू रिव्यू इट्स judgment orders. A review petition must be filed within the 30 days of the pronouncement of the judgment, except in the case of death penalty. The review petition are heard through circulation by judges in their chambers and not in open court. Lawyers make their case through written submission and not an oral argument. The judges who pass the verdict decide on the review petition as well as. Supreme Court rarely entertains review of its ruling. Rarely. A review is allowed on the narrow grounds to correct grave errors and have resulted in a miscarriage of justice. A mistake apparent on the face of the record is one of the ground on which a case for review is met. This mistake, the court has said, must be glaring, obvious, स्पष्ट होना चाहिए, such as relying on a case law that is invalid. In India, which of the following states have notified fifth schedule? फिफ्थ शेड्यूल तो यूपी हिमाचल प्रदेश कहाँ से आ गई? तो इसका सही जवाब आपको मिल गया होगा मेरे ख्याल से. बी 1 2 4 5 नॉट यूपी. ओके. 10 स्टेट्स हैं: आंध्र प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, गुजरात, हिमाचल प्रदेश, झारखंड, एमपी, महाराष्ट्र, ओडिशा, राजस्थान एंड तेलंगाना हैव नोटिफाइड फिफ्थ शेड्यूल एरियाज. कवर पार्सली भी है, कहीं कहीं फुल्ली भी है. सेवरल डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन ईच स्टेट्स. Article 87 of the Constitution of India provides which of the following occasion on which the President of India addressed the joint sitting of the Parliament: opening session of a new legislature after a general election, first sitting of the Parliament each year, deadlock over a constitution amendment bill between the House of the Parliament. 87 तो केवल दो ही स्थिति बताता है, 1 और 2. Article 87 provides two special occasions on which the President addresses a joint sitting. The first is to address the opening session of the new legislature after a general election, and second is to address the first sitting of the parliament each year. A session of new or a continuing legislature cannot begin without fulfillment this requirement. Consider the following statement regarding President's address to the Parliament of India as contained in Article 87 of the Constitution. The address of the President highlights the government's accomplishments from the previous year and sets the broad governance agenda for the coming year. After the President address, the two houses move a motion to thank the President for her speech. Till now, there is no instances of the amendments passed to the motion of thanks in both the houses of the Parliament. Till now, अब तक, there are no instances of amendments passed to the motion of thanks in the both the houses of the Parliament. चलिए बताइए एक और दो सही है. Address of the President follows a general structure in which it highlights the government's accomplishment. सरकार ने क्या प्राप्त किया, क्या बनाया, अगले साल क्या करने वाला है. Sets the broad governance agenda for coming year. The President या फिर Governor cannot refuse to perform the constitutional duty of delivering an address to the legislature, but there can be situation when they deviate from the text of the speech prepared by the government. So far अब तक there have been no instances of a president doing so, लेकिन ऐसा तो राष्ट्रपति जी ने नहीं किया है. But there have been occasion when a governor skip या फिर change a portion of the address to the assembly. अभी हाल में हो रहा है. After the president's address, the two houses moved a motion to thank the president for her speech. This is an occasion for MP in the two houses to have a broad debate on the governance in the country. The issue raised by the MPs are then addressed by the Prime Minister. पहले तो MP लोग इशू करेगा, उसका फिर Prime Minister एड्रेस करेगा, who also replies to the motion of thanks. The motion is then put to vote. The MP can express their disagreement by moving amendments to the motion. Yes, MP can express their disagreement by moving amendments to the motion. Opposition MP have been successful in getting amendments passed to the motion of thanks in Rajya Sabha on 5 occasions, including 80, 89, 1, 15, 16. However, they have been less successful in the Lok Sabha. लेकिन लोक सभा में वो असफल रहे. PESA Act empowers Gram Sabha to play a key role in approving development plan and controlling all social sectors. This includes, तो पैसा एक्ट के तहत जो ग्राम सभा को जो पावर मिलता है, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल मिलता है, उसमें क्या क्या आता है. प्रिवेंटिंग लैंड एलिनेशन, रेगुलेटिंग इंटॉक्सिकेशन, मैनेजिंग लोकल मार्केट्स, एक्सरसाइजिंग कंट्रोल ओवर द ऑल फॉरेस्ट. ऑल फॉरेस्ट कहाँ से आ जाएगा. देखिए, पैसा एम्पावर ग्राम सभा टू प्ले ए की रोल in improving या फिर approving the development plans and controlling all social sectors. This includes processes and personnel who implements policy, exercising control over minor non-timber forest resources, minor water bodies, minor minerals, managing local markets, preventing land alienation, regulating intoxication, among the other things. Gram Sabha would have the power to monitor and prohibit the manufacturing, transport, sale, consumption of intoxication within their village limits. Consider the following statement regarding zero hour in the Indian parliamentary system. शून्यकाल के बारे में पूछा जा रहा है. While question hour is strictly regulated, zero hours is in Indian parliamentary innovation. अच्छा. It is mentioned in the parliamentary rule books. During this hour, MP can raise matter without any prior notice. Wow, yeah, of course. So, I think you know about that. 1 and 3 is absolutely correct. देखिए, while a question hour के समय it is strictly regulated. बहुत कड़ाई होता है क्वेश्चन आवर के समय. प्रश्नकाल के समय बहुत कड़ा होता है. जीरो आवर तो एक इंडियन पार्लियामेंट्री इनोवेशन है ना. द फ्रेज डज नॉट फाइंड मेंशन इन द रूल्स ऑफ प्रोसीजर. हालांकि ये जीरो आवर जैसा शब्द कोई हमारे लोकसभा या राज्यसभा के किसी रूल्स बुक में नहीं है. ठीक है. अंडर द जीरो आवर MP can raise matter without prior notice. कुछ बिना बोले हम पूछेंगे क्वेश्चन, 0 आवर है भाई. Parliament has a comprehensive rules for dealing with every aspect of the question hour. And the presiding officer of the two houses are final authority with respect to the conduct of the business during the question hour. क्वेश्चन आवर के समय सारा का सारा पावर, जो सारा का सारा जो अथॉरिटी होता है, वो प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर के पास चला जाता है. लेकिन 0 आवर के पास ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. With the reference to the parliamentary standing committee, consider the following statement. Parliamentary standing committee, जो संसदीय स्थायी समिति होती है, उसके बारे में पूछा जा रहा है. Standing committee are permanent in nature. Standing committee not only supervise the work of the various departments but also their budget. Members of the all standing committee are selected from both the houses. जितने भी standing committee हैं, ये तो गलत हो गया. Public account committee is an example of a standing committee. Yes, standing committee are means of the parliamentary control over the executive. पहले तो सबसे पहली बात, standing committee are means of the parliamentary control over executive. Little bit, बट इसके तीसरे स्टेटमेंट पर ध्यान दीजिए, वो गलत कीजिए. 3 खत्म, तो स्वाभाविक है 1 2 5 इज द राइट आंसर. 1 2 4 5. स्टैंडिंग कमिटी नॉट ओनली सुपरवाइज द वर्क ऑफ द वेरियस डिपार्टमेंट but also their budget, their expenditure, and the bills that come up in the House relating to the department. It is a permanent and regular committee which is constituted from time to time according to the provisions of an act of the Parliament or the rules of the procedure and conduct of business. The work done by the Indian Parliament is not only the voluminous, क्योंकि आपको पता होगा पार्लियामेंट का काम तो ना केवल बहुत ज़्यादा है, वॉल्यूमिनियस जिसको बोलते हैं, but also complex in nature. Hence, a good deal of its work is carried out in these parliamentary committees. These are the two types of parliamentary committee. एक है standing committee, एक ad hoc committee. Publication, a public account committee is an example of standing committee. Members of the standing committees are selected from both the houses, except estimate committee, where all the members are from Lok Sabha only. तो बने रहिए इस चैनल में, देखते रहिए, सीखते रहिए, आगे बढ़ते रहिए. सक्सेस तो मिलेगा, जरूर मिलेगा, जरूर मिलेगा. बस आपको निरंतर मेहनत करना है. थैंक यू.